Welcome back to Data Center News Asia. And first up, an apology for those who had asked if they could appear on the show next time James was away or traveling. And I said yes. I got a bit snowed under this week. Unfortunately, two of the members of the Kepler team are also enjoying their vacation. Selamat Hari-Raya to those who celebrate this week, and James is also away. So I didn't have time to organize anything. It is just me reading the news. Advance warning in case you want to tune out. Some big stories this week, though. There's a huge planned development on the island of Borneo. Bridge DC, I should say, are expanding their campus in KL. AirTrunk have a new site in Hong Kong. DCI Indonesia are also looking to build another building in their West Jakarta campus. PLDT are looking at their 12th Philippines data center. I2 Capital have expressed an interest in a tower business in India, and there's a big CEO change at Bharti Airtel. So launch into Malaysia to start with is appropriate for the festivities. So I didn't know too much about development here in Sarawak. This is an island, a Malaysian state on the island of Borneo, bordered by Sabah, and then you have Brunei fully enclosed, and of course Kalimantan, which is the Indonesian portion of the island. Borneo about 3 times the size of of Britain as an island, so it's a huge location, but relatively sparsely populated. And last year we did report on the new data center from IRIX. Now this is a local company. Attached to it is the development of the BASIX cable, which goes from Singapore to Batam and then on to Sarawak. So this is providing some connectivity. There's actually now 4 cables landing at the capital, Kuching. And this new data center is planned as a 200 megawatt facility. This is a seemingly preposterously large facility for the size of the island, but I think a fascinating case study on how these new developments in emerging markets are being planned, new cities being planned around digital infrastructure. The government official who was giving the interview for this said that the new integrated green districts called Future Green Districts will bring healthcare, education, and high-end residential areas together to cater to overseas individuals seeking a second home in Kuching. So exciting development there for for the island of Borneo, although hopefully not too far into the rainforest. But continued digital infrastructure development, bringing hopefully a greater degree of cloud and technology service to the population, and naturally there's no shortage of wealth and GDP coming in through the neighbouring state of Brunei. Sticking with Malaysia, the second story this week is Bridge DC expanding their KL campus. So Bridge DC has 2 data centers in Cyberjaya. This is an area that we've been talking about a lot recently. Vantage is huge new expansion there. Microsoft Cyberjaya is a really busy development area for data centers to the south of Kuala Lumpur. Bridge DC's campus in the Malaysian Research Accelerator for Technology and Innovation, or Meranti Park. This is a bit more centrally located, and Bridge DC have signed an agreement with the ministry there to build 3 buildings and a substation, which will bring the existing MYO3 facility there up to a total of 64 megawatts. Bridge DC we actually talked about last week as part of the Chin Data Group. So Bain Capital had Bridge DC as a portfolio company up until 2019 when they acquired Chin Data from the Guangzhou Science Technology Company, rolled them Bridge Data Centers into Chin Data, and the news we were talking about last week was that having IPO'd that business as part of the merger, floated the Chin Data Group, Bain is making a bid to reacquire the rest of the stock in the Chin Data Group, just to show they are continuing to invest via both the Chin Data brand in China and the Bridge DC brand in Malaysia and India. On to Hong Kong. So this is a second facility from AirTrunk, friends of the show. So AirTrunk's HKG2 is a 15 megawatt facility on the East New Territories. Their existing data center, which was completed 2020 is on the West New Territory. So this is a 20 megawatt facility which they were talking about quite recently, planning to use biomass energy as part of their agreement with Microsoft, who are the existing tenant for that building. This new data center, HKG2, actually has already stated a 1.25 PUE, which is pretty low. So we'll be interested to see what they're going to do in terms of renewable power sourcing and things like that for that as well. But yeah, congratulations to the AirTrunk team on another continued expansion. They're saying that this will be delivered by mid-2024 for the anchor tenant. So it sounds like there's already someone in line for that. we'll leave people to speculate in the comments on who that might be. On to Indonesia. So this is DCI data centers. Now, not to be confused with DCI data centers from Brookfield Asset Management. I think at some point someone's going to have to get Pak Toto and Uday and the Brookfield team on a call together, and they're going to come to an agreement over who's using the name, or maybe some kind of planned merger. But this is a separate DCI. This is the Indonesia DCI, one of the dominant players in the Jakarta market. And they have opened the second building on their campus in, this is West Jakarta. So the area here is Karawang. I'll try and get that on the screen. And this is a joint venture with DCI and Salim, which are a local conglomerate. They are a minority stakeholder in DCI as a company. And the building they've opened so far is now a 12 megawatt facility. 15 megawatts was launched in 2021, so the total for this campus now is at 27 megawatts, so quite substantial for the Indonesia market. They also last week finished the construction on an 18 megawatt facility in South Jakarta. Now, obviously, congratulations on the construction goal, but confusing here, they have called this an edge facility E1. It's in a downtown location. It's it's a tier 4 data center in downtown Jakarta, so I've no doubt it'll be popular. But I'm straining here for the definition of an edge facility at 18 megawatts. Anyone has any suggestions, feel free to reach out. I think the word edge is now applying to multiple different things. I do actually have a couple of videos that I need to post up, some interviews that we did a couple of weeks ago with different edge providers around the region. Now I might need to add DCI to that list as well. But no, big news from the team in general. So that's two buildings they've opened now in quick succession in different locations. So DCI really stamping their foothold on the Indonesian market. And speaking of dominant market players, I also want to go now to the Philippines. So this is PLDT, and PLDT is the Philippines long distance telecommunications company. They have 11 data centers in the country at the moment. They're the largest carrier in the national, or probably the nationalized carrier in the country too. And this facility was announced by the CEO, Victor Genuino, at the W Media event last week. Now, he said that this is going to be a new 100 megawatt facility. I understand that this is meant to be separate to the facility that we reported on back in March in Santa Rosa, which is to the south, I believe, and that's also a 100 megawatt campus. And phase one of that, they've started construction on. It's 14 megawatt. They did the groundbreaking. But this, from the tone of the announcement, I understand this is a new, another new facility trying to make for the Philippines a major hyperscale hub. All sounds good, but there was not a lot of detail released in terms of the location or anything else about this new facility. But announcement nonetheless from PLDT. And I have two stories to cap off from India, and these are ones that, well, certainly the towers one James wouldn't normally let me report on, strictly data centers, but I thought this was an interesting one. I Squared Capital have put in a bid, or that they've expressed an informal bid. I think the formal bidding will be concluded next month for the American Tower Corporation's Indian business, and this has been up on, let's say, on the market. They've been looking at bids for a little while. Understood that Stone Peak Infrastructure Partners are also interested. From the report that I was able to read, it looks like there is a gap in what they expect the bid. So American Tower have been talking about a $4 billion valuation, which is, I think, around $50,000 per tower, which is understood to be quite a high valuation. Although the Indian market is obviously very hot for private equity to come into, the bids talked about being somewhere in the $1.8 to $2 billion gap range, which is a significant gap from the asking price. The reasoning behind this, I think, is the controversy around Vodafone India. So Vodafone India is absolutely saddled with debt at the moment, and they are the main tenant for American Tower Corporation. So it seems a lot of the negotiation may go down to what is the valuation of recurring revenue from that account, or the ability to replace it, I guess. But interesting stuff. Yeah, I Squared obviously been active recently in fiber as well. We were seeing this as a trend. People like Digital Bridge, KKR, and Stonepeak and I Squared looking at layers of digital infrastructure as part of their portfolio beyond just data center platforms. So it's kind of a whole holistic look at digital infrastructure and broadband infrastructure, which is commonplace already in Europe and America, but exciting to see this developing across Asia. And the last one that I've got for today is Bharti Airtel, the CEO of the business unit, Ajay Chitkara, has decided, or he will be stepping down in August. He was the CEO since 2018, and he's been with the business for 20 years. This comes as part of a restructuring. They're splitting the business section of Bharti Airtel, which is one of India's biggest carriers. We actually reported back on when they launched 5G in the country, into three units: the global business, the domestic business, and Nxtra data centers, who viewers will be aware of. Nxtra is going to be headed by Ashish Arora, and Nxtra actually they plan to triple the capacity up to 400 megawatts by 2025. I think that's a global statement, but that's the vast majority. That will be India. But they are looking at building in Africa, which would be the first step outside the Indian market. Might seem like a high risk play to dive into Africa first, but actually Airtel is one of the largest service providers across Africa, so presumably they've got some pretty good connections, connectivity access, and all the things that you need to get a company started. So yeah, interesting developments there from Airtel and for Nxtra. And we'll wish AJ good luck in whatever the next step in his career is. Not actually sure how to sign this off individually. I kind of was going to pause a breath there and wait for James to come back with some of his typically dry banter. I think he will be back next week. I do have some travel next weekend, but I should be able to get the news recorded at the very least. DCNA always comes first. Other than that, I wish you all a happy Friday and a Selamat Hari-Raya for those who celebrate, and a happy long weekend for those who don't. Cheers.